Welcome to Pathways to Recovery, where we talk with people who's lived it, learned from it, and now help others to find healing in their own way. Today's guest is Jermaine Gardner, LCDC. He's a counselor, a mentor, a spiritual being who's walked both sides of the recovery journey. Thank you for being on today.
Appreciate you having me, brother, man. Appreciate you for having me.
So tell us a little about, tell us.
Well, like I said, I grew up, man, down there in a small little town, Lufkin, man. I had three other brothers, a sister. I grew up in a somewhat like a single parent home. I'm a mom. I had my stepfather, but he passed when I was at probably like when I was about 10 or 12. Then from there, man, it's just, typical childhood, man, seeing some things, been through some things and experienced some things through all that. But from there, man, depending on, I guess, how much detail do you want for as my upbringing. But
Well, you you've described yourself as a spiritual being first, and someone who sees recovery as more than just a behavior change. How would you describe yourself today compared to who you were before in recovery, or before recovery? Sorry.
well, I think if I'm understanding your question, it wasn't no sense of recovery because I didn't know that I had a problem, an issue, for as addiction wise. But for as what you hit on, I'm still a spiritual type of person. And I was spiritual back then as well. But now it's just a lot more experiences, life experiences. I'm the type of person that learn through experiences and I just make adjustments from there. And I'm open. I don't really be biased who I learn from. So that's the type of person I am, man. And also, like you said, I walk a spiritual walk.
You also use a spiritual language when describing healing, not necessarily religious, but deeply personal. What does it mean to call yourself a spiritual being?
Glad you asked. Well, this is my perception, right? Spiritual is like being connected. And I'm not here to, throw jabs or any other religions and nothing like that. But because I walked that path before too, for as being religious. But I just more comfortable being a spiritual type of person. Like I said, it's a more connected, more relationship, a more better understanding for spiritual wise on your how to deal with certain emotions, and knowing who to call on through those trials and tribulations, man. It's not like no certain day of the week, for a spiritual. Spiritual is an everyday walk with me. So it's every day, brother. It's every day praying. If you want to get in more detail, it's a lot more praying, a lot more grounding. Uh, Basically what that is, taking your shoes off, getting back to earth, right? Getting back to the ground. And that's where my healing come from for the most part.
Before becoming a counselor, you had to walk your own path of healing. How did your personal journey lead toward the field of counseling?
I couldn't hear you say that again.
Before becoming a counselor, you had to walk your own path of healing. How did your personal journey lead you toward the field of counseling?
Oh, man, I had to do if you want to call it a walk, but yeah, it was a long stretch, man. I was living pretty much a fast life there, Mr. Perry. I thought I was a good person, so, because I respected people, but the things that I was doing and places I was going, man, wasn't a good place for me to be. I used to, just travel a lot. I used to, believe it or not, man, I used to be an artist. So in that lifestyle of being an artist, a rap artist, it take you to some places, man. Some places that you didn't really expect, didn't think of that you'll go through. But some of it, is part of the journey, man. I seen a lot of, drugs and, passing back and forth and, people own it and people, asking me to do it. My thing was really with just alcohol. And again, really didn't see alcohol as a problem. And the most people I hung out with didn't see it as a problem either because it was normal. It was a normal thing that happened in each of our households growing up. Every weekend, it was like a party or something, a gathering, and it wasn't a gathering without the alcohol. So I grew up thinking that was normal. All my uncles, most of my uncles and most of my friends, fathers, they all drunk. So me becoming older, teenager, as you say, or a young man, and then living that in that lifestyle, that was normal for me to drink. It wasn't a big issue, wasn't a big problem at all. So I never looked at it as a problem. But the Lord Himself had a certain way to showing you different things. So I done that for quite a while, just living that fast life, just doing shows, going to different places, not really getting rest. Or sometimes I only get like 2 hours, maybe 2 hours of rest, and hop back up and go to work. Then from there, go back and do it all over again, right? And I thought that was the way, but it was like in probably 2000. I want to say 2010 to be exact. That's when my health went down kind of critical. And that's when I was pretty much diagnosed with thyroid disease. So I'm telling you that part because that's kind of what the healing process started with me, realizing, what I was doing wasn't good for me. So I had to sit down for a while. In that time of frame, the Lord, He stripped me from everything that I pretty much was clinging on to, for as my identity, I'm be honest, I kind of praise myself a lot. I had a good body, good fit, big and nice looking and groom well and everything, man. And I had a way with the words, with the ladies and everything. And I was just using that, what I had, to add to my
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle with the music. But then when He sit me down, man, when I was in that hospital for a while, a day or so, I believe, and got out, and He stripped me and I lost all my weight, right? I lost pretty much my image, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
we say, sometimes we use our image in our lifestyle and continue on with that. So that's the first thing He pretty much stripped from me was my image, man. I lost my weight. I was about 215 at the time, just pretty solid guy. And I
Mm-hmm.
went all the way down to 165. So I was really thin, man. My eyes was budged, right? So at that point, man, I realized and He was showing me who was really in my corner. So that's when I
Mm-hmm.
started really walk that spiritual journey, man. Even some of the people that, not to just call any names, but some religious people even had their own what they thought what was going on with me. I say what they thought, what they believed. So everyone assumed that I was on some type of, drug,
Mm-hmm.
some heavy drugs, right? But no one never came and asked, right? So they just always assumed. So that took a toll on me, and I really thought I didn't have any, really friends. And all the, females I used to, that I thought they liked me, right? But they only like what they saw and what they can get out of me, right? Because to me, when I looked in the mirror, I was still the same person. I still had the same heart, right? But the Lord was showing me people don't really see you for your heart. They only see you for what they can see, right? And what you can do for them. And that's why I started going on a journey, man, of the spiritual walk and getting a better relationship with the Lord. Because I thought I did, but that just like people just get in the rhythm of going to church every
Mm-hmm.
Sunday or every Wednesday, right? So, but that wasn't a close enough relationship. So you asked me that. So that's the part that it took the journey, man, to say, man, I know I need to do something different and I'm allowed the Lord to lead me, And I thought I had a relationship with Him, but I really didn't. It wasn't a good relationship. I was only showing up, but I wasn't present. If that make any sense, right? Just
Yeah,
showing up.
it makes
Yes,
total sense.
yeah. I was just
And
showing
he
up,
he
man.
uses those things to kind of wake us up and get our eyes back on them. What drew you specifically to addiction recovery work?
Well, fam. I mean, again, myself first of all, right? When I finally woke up again, I thought this was all normal, right? And when it really clicked on me, like, man, this problem, this issue, right? I wanted to help and I wanted to give back and let my people know the same in my family, my siblings. Hey, man, I discovered something, that might can benefit you as well as it did me. So, and that's why I decided to go in that field. I was kind of always in that field, in the helping field, but mainly in the counseling field. I think I was already there because my family, my friends, people, they always used to call me all the time. I don't know why, but I was always the one they call about their problems. And I was like, so I was like, man, I don't know why they trust me. So I just felt like, I was very trustworthy of people. And I noticed that at a young age, man, I was able to speak life in some people. When other people didn't rationalize with other people, but they'll listen to what I have to say for some reason. So that's really kind of drew me into the counseling thing. I like, hey man, I'm good. I believe this is what I like to do. And I think I'm pretty good at it anyway. So why not get a little more knowledge of it and more skill of it myself, and I can pour back into my people and my family and my friends and let them know. Because a lot of time this is just a lack of, just like me, it's a lack of, a lack is
Hmm.
a knowledge, not knowing, thinking that you're doing the right thing,
How
right?
has your understanding of recovery evolved over the years?
What you mean, like specifically? What you mean recovery?
So you refrain from alcohol. You learn kind of where that road leads you. You're on the spiritual journey. So think about day one to where you're at now. What lessons have you learned? Has anything kind of changed? Have you kind of? I think it's kind of like how you were saying. I thought I had a good relationship, and then you realized you didn't. Is there any other insights over the years that you've kind of gained?
Well, yes, sir. It's you, man. It's you. I always say to myself and other people, some people understand, some don't. I said it's a whole lot of yous in you, right? But which one gonna stand out? So over those years, man, it was a whole lot of me's and me, right? And they was doing what they supposed to do, right? For us, when I was on the stage rapping, that was me as well, right? Or when I was out there hanging with friends and drinking and getting wasted, that was me as well. Or whether I was, being family oriented with my brothers and sisters and chilling and being the funny guy, that was me as well. So it was always you, right? But you got to figure out which one you want to stand out the most, and that's what I had to really figure out, man. Who am I? And that's what I understand about recovery, man. It's not, to me personally, it's not about the alcohol. It's not about the drugs. It don't have nothing to do with none of those things. To me, it has something to do with the person and yourself. And once you define who you truly are, that's when the healing will start. So I had to really dig deep to find out who Jermaine was, right? Other than who he was pretending to be and put off. So I had to come out of the mask and be who I truly am. And I wouldn't know that if I didn't go through this spiritual walk, right? It's kind of hard to know who you are if you don't know where you come from, right? It's kind of,
So when your eyes were open, was it kind of was it scary to you? Was it daunting? Was it
yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, I tell you this, on the spiritual journey, brother. I mean, a lot of people don't understand what the spiritual walk is. It's spiritual to spiritual. I mean, it's nothing you gonna see, right? Like for us with the naked eye. You have to be in the spiritual side to understand and see and understand what I'm saying. So again, yes, once you go spiritual and you get that spiritual walk and real connection, he'll start unrevealing things to you that you pretty much not really comfortable talking to other people about in the beginning,
mhm.
right? Because you're like, come on, landlord, come on. Why you want me to go up there and say that? Why you want me to go talk to her? I don't even know this woman have a child. Why you want me to go out there and say I want to pray for her? Why you want me to say she's gonna get healed from this right here? I don't know if she's sick. I mean, that's how the spiritual journey is, right? When you get a better connection, right? Or who do the Lord uses? People. So he use people in the flesh, right? So once you get a better connection, he's gonna use you, and you got to be ready to be used, right? And you got to be ready to be obedient, and you got to be ready to go through some things, man. It's just not just reading. This stuff come to light.
Yeah.
All this stuff come to light when you are really focusing and trying to walk a relationship with him, right? He's gonna use you and he can heal you from anything, any drug. But that's why I say you have to define yourself first. The only way you can define yourself is knowing him, right? And getting a better relationship. So that was one of the first eye opener to me. I like, whoa. I usually, thought I was, the things I see, right, I was seeing. But when you walk this other journey, things look a little different, brother. A different energy, right? So what spiritual is, me personally, pick up on energy, right? Vibes. That's the main thing about it, man. It's picking up on people vibes and energy, low energy, vibration. Right? When people say you have a high vibration or a low vibration, that's what I mean by spiritual. You easy to detect some of those things, right? So that's one of the things that, going through this walk with the spiritual walk and recovery, I noticed long as my heart and my passion and my connection with spiritual walk, he'll lead me and guide me where I need to go and where I need to be and what I need to say and what I need to speak. So
What
that's where all
what
my trust go into.
when you were starting out, it's a scary walk. It's scary you have to trust, you have to have faith. What
Mhm.
does hope mean for you today? What did hope look like back then?
Well, I didn't believe in it. Hope back then wasn't. It really didn't exist to me because, growing up, this is in my adolescence, I lost all that because I was praying, because I grew up without my father, not knowing my father. And for the longest, I prayed for that. And I never received. At that time, it wasn't being answered over those years and decades. So I lost hope, right? So I didn't really have hope. If I couldn't see it, it ain't happening. I ain't believing in it for the most part. But right now, what hope believes to me is pretty much just believing and knowing, just knowing, man, just giving it all to whoever your faith you put into. You have to really believe that, and you really have to pretty much put the works in it for it. Hope is just not a word. It takes some action with it too, though, right? A lot of people hope for things, but no action come with it. You had to put action with hope. So I would say action come with hope, man. Even if you praying for something to the Lord, you still have to do your part, right? You still have to do what you're supposed to do, whether it's praying, whether it's spreading the gospel or being positive, right? Being uplifted, being motivating, showing love, right? Even to the people that had something against you, still showing love. It's that unconditional love. So I
Hmm.
believe that's what hope come with action. So you got to continue to do what you're supposed to do for its hope.
Looking back, if you could talk to your past self, the one that was laying in the hospital bed, what would you tell him?
Stop wasting time. Stop wasting time. You already know what you're supposed to be doing, man. You already know the calling that's up on you, right? You already know. Stop wasting time. People just not drawn onto you for no reason. You never meet a stranger. Everyone always pull towards you. Go on, do what you're supposed to do and stop wasting time, man. It's okay to jump out there. So that's what I would tell him because I'm a lot better, right? But back then, man, I was a very procrastinator, man. I wouldn't move. I was like that, who was that was that Paul? Who was that? When he said he was waiting, he sent the boat, he seen the helicopter and all that. He said he was waiting on God to come save him.
Yeah.
But God sent him all those three people to save him. So I was one of those type of guys, man. I wanted to physically the Lord to come down and be like, here, this is what you need to do.
No,
But
I'm very much I don't see myself as much of a Joshua as a Jonah. I have to, be I have to have a whale come and get me and take me or a fish.
right, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, man, I was just a big procrastinator, man. So I go back there and tell him, man, don't waste time, man. Just jump out there, just do it, right? Do the right thing, be you, spread the word, man, and continue to love people, right? Change your message.
You said that your mom, your willpower, spiritual life, that all became a foundation for your change. How did your mother's support influence your commitment to recovery?
Tremendous, man. She came there and cleared house. When I was laying in that bed and in my apartment, man, I had bottles all around that apartment full of liquor. I remember to the day she had like three like big trash bags for the bottles. So she came and cleared out and threw it all. And I said, Mama, what you doing? She said, I'm throwing all this in the dumpster. You don't need this. This is not it. Right? So she played a big part, man, and she didn't see nothing different in me, you know, when she came around. Right? Now when she wasn't there, I don't know what she did, but when she came around me, she was always uplifted. She always told me that hey, you gonna bounce back, you gonna get better, everything's gonna be all right. She always come up and say, "Get out this bed, boy. You can't just lay up in this bed. Get out this bed. Get out this house." Right? She came through, help, clean. She the one, man. Yeah, she the one. So, my mother played a big part in that, for the recovery part. She always been in my corner. She always told me the truth. That's where most of my bluntness come from, right? Being very blunt, it's straight to it, man. Is because of her. A lot of the times she was honest with me, and it hurt my feelings though.
Hmm.
Mama's boy, you want mamas to always be on your side. But she the type of mother she told me the truth sometimes. Well, all the time pretty much. And that hurted me at that time. But growing up and going through the whole thing, I appreciate her for doing all that. That's what I needed, right? It's not always, and I realize it's not always about what you want in life. It's about what you need in life. Because once you get the thing, and I realize this here, once you do get the things you need, you go back and realize you don't want the things you thought you wanted. Those wants is not a desire anymore, right? The need that is supersede everything that I thought I wanted. So yeah, she played a big part in that, man.
Is there who else stood beside you and kept you accountable through the early stages?
Well, to be honest with you, man, it was just me, man. Because again, a lot of my friends and people I associate with when I was in my recovery, you got to understand they was right there with it. They was with all that, the drinking and partying, man. Just because you have a change in your life doesn't mean everyone else gonna change. So, matter of fact, they were still showing up after the fact, right? After the hospital visit and after they thought I got, back, not even back to myself. They was calling. They was still trying to party, man. After I didn't told them, hey, look, man, this is not what I'm doing. I'm not, on this journey anymore. Hey, but this is what I had to understand, man. They gonna test you. At the time, I was mad. I was mad at them, right? Because I was like, man, I just told them, or I just told her that I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, but they still knocking on my door. They still calling me. They still texting me, say, hey, you want to go out for drinks? Do you want to go do this? In that spiritual walk, right? That's why you can't do it by yourself. But in that spiritual walk, the Lord spoke to me like, how else did you know that you getting stronger, right? How do you know that you improving, right? If I don't
Mhm.
see you in the test. So those was all just tests. They were just testing, man. So now I look at it, man, like, hey, that's how I look at life now, man. Anything that I might struggle with or deal with it, I don't really see people look at them as people. They just, if someone come at me a certain way, I just look at it as a test, right? Because I know, especially if it's somebody I don't even know, because they don't even know me. So I know it's not me that's making them upset or bothered. It's something that they got going on in their life that they don't quite understand, right? And I'm just the part they want to take it out on. Again, man, it's you, right? It's gonna be you. So it was me. I had to make a decision, right? With my mom and, like I say, my spiritual journey, that what helped me the most. Now I did have, aunties, that was just, encouraging me to, keep faith. I
Mhm.
did have a few people in my corners. I did have a cousin that was right there with me the whole time. Right. He checked on me. Anything I need, he was right there. My brothers was supportive. They was all supportive of me, right? Of me not drinking anything in my recovery. But for the most part, it was me. Back then, I didn't. I never heard of AA. None of these things.
Mhm.
And my siblings and my family, my mom, we didn't know about. They didn't know about these groups or AA. I don't know about none of this stuff. This recovery stuff didn't come to like about 8, maybe like last 10 years ago. That's why I got educated on it, like really educated on addiction. in recovery, right? And I just went back on memory lane and looked at my childhood and my adolescence, and it helped me out tremendously. The things I have learned through the classes in school that I took, and it made a lot of sense. So for anyone that is going through recovery, man, sometimes you do have to go back, because sometimes you fault yourself for a lot of things.
Hmm.
Something you just can't change. And I had to go back
So,
and look.
did you have to learn to trust yourself again?
I couldn't hear you on that.
Did you have to learn to trust yourself again?
Man, did I learn to trust myself again? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can, for as in recovery, right? You talking about for as in recovery, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I didn't trust myself, right? Because I wasn't strong enough at times.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry. Did
No, you
you
know.
did you have to learn to trust yourself again?
Yeah, I had to learn to trust myself again, man, because at first, man, I wasn't strong enough to tell people no, right? So it was learning to trust my it was more learning to trust me and other people and setting boundaries, right? I had to trust myself with my decisions. I already knew what I wanted to do and who I didn't want to be around. I knew that, right? But I had to trust myself to say, "Hey, man, hey, we setting up boundaries, and this is what it's gonna be, right? Trust it that yourself, you're making a good decision for yourself, right? It's okay. It don't matter what they say or what they think about you, right? Because I was worried about, well, what I can't just cut them off. I can't just cut them off. This is what I'm battling with in my head. I just can't cut them off. Like, these are my cousins. I can't cut my cousin off. Lord, this is a spiritual walk, right? That's why I said, you have to be careful, because in the spiritual walk, in the walk, right, it's no more excuses, right? Because when you are walking that journey, He's gonna tell you, right, and it's gonna be crystal clear, right? So I remember praying that, God, who I need to take out of my life, who I need to take out of my life right now, right? Who I need to add in my life. It was people in dark, and it was people in light, right? And we do what normal flesh people do, humans do, right? God give us the answer. Then we say, oh, no, God, we need to switch. We need to switch this up. He's staying with me right now. How you gonna tell me to kick him out? He stay with me, Lord. What's going on? Come on. We wanna try to, ration with the Lord, right? Or try to go back and forth in debate, but He's clear of what He wants you to do. So I either had to trust my spiritual walk, man, and trust, the people that I had to eliminate out of my life. I had to trust that journey. I had to be okay with being alone, right? That's the real deal. I had to trust being alone. And when I mean alone, not like not mentally, I wasn't alone, right? But the physical thing part, the people that mean me no well, mean me no good, right? Not saying they was awful people, but for as my sobriety, right, for as my mental state of mind, they was not longer needed in my life at that time. And the Lord said, you have to cut them out. If you want to get better, right? If you want to get stronger, right? If you want to get back on your feet, you want your appearance back, this is what you need to do. So I had to trust myself on that. I had to trust, it's more trust in your decisions.
So today you work with primarily the justice involved. What inspired you to serve that population?
Well, I had a lot of not immediate family, but I had a lot of cousins in and out the system. Just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, man. And I was like, man, I was really trying to figure out what's going on that they keep getting caught up in this cycle. Why is it when I talk to them, they say they don't want to go back to jail or go back to prison, but they do the same thing to go back to prison. So it didn't make sense. So I wanted to serve that population because I was out there, what I call it, the field. I was surrounded with people. Some of my friends was people that's in and out of prison. My cousins in and out of prison, and I just didn't get it. And I wanted to understand the reasons for what they did and why they continue to do one thing but say another. So I thought, man, maybe I can reach out to those type of individuals because I had some type of experience or I can relate to some of the things they've been through or going through. Because a lot of the time, the guys just feel like if you can't relate, then you don't understand.
Hmm.
But that's not always the truth, right? It's not always the truth, but I know that's the gateway to some of those guys to getting them to open up when they feel like you've been through some things or you experienced some things in your life or trauma that they feel like they can relate to you. So I feel like that's the type of impact that I can have on those type of guys. That's guys that been incarcerated. I can kind of
Hmm.
relate to some of the experience that they've been through, and I can probably can get those guys to open up, and that's when the counseling comes in. So yes, sir.
I've had the great opportunity to watch you work. I don't know if you remember, but when I was a new intern, I got to shadow you, and I just remember watching you. I got to watch a lot of different counselors, but I was honestly most impressed with how you interacted with the clients because whenever they like it could be like a whole dorm like just kind of being very resistive and it didn't phase you. You're just like, okay, well this is what we're going to do today. It's just kind of talking to them. And, they really responded to that. They just kind of calmed down and you were like, hey, let me come here, let me talk to you. And you would just sit there and talk with them and you never raised your voice. You never had to say, well, I'm going to do this. It was just a conversation. And in every sense, honestly, I felt more safer. I was, really learning at that time. And, I've been with other counselors at
Yeah,
sometimes, their responses can make the situation worse. And
that's
and
right.
I just learned you don't have to be loud. You don't have to be like more threatening than they are. Like you can just talk to them like a person, and then their aggression will back down. And so it is really awesome to get to see you work in that situation. And so when you get to know a little bit more of your story and how you didn't see hope back then, working with these guys now, how do you talk to them about hope? Maybe something that they can't see yet.
Well, I tell them this is what I do, right? Because a lot of guys do this tough thing because some of them was, most guys was raised that way, most of them, right? But I just took affirmation, man, right? That's why I pour into it, man. Finding something good to say every day, finding something good to say about themselves, right? So when I first sit down with me, I always say, hey, today, this is my little saying with the guys, and they carry it on away, man. I say today is what? You're like today is Sunday, right? So they're like today is Sunday, right? And I say, and yesterday was what? They say, what? Yesterday was Saturday. And I say, well, tomorrow gonna be what? Right? Well, tomorrow gonna be Monday, with you or without you, right? Time is moved. So I give them something they can grasp on and they can use when they leave hope, first of all. That little small saying. It's so small and may don't seem like it mean anything, but it means a lot to those guys. And I only know this because they come back and tell me right before they leave. When I first presented to them, they, laughing and joking and all that, but it sticks in their head, right? Because that's what I lead with. I lead with love, right? I lead with compassion, right? So I lead with that every time because I'm trying to spill it out on them. And I kind of tell them, hey, as long as you wake up and make your bed, right? It's not don't see it as someone's telling you to do it, right? Just see it as something that you want to do, pleading something. So I pretty much just point out the things that they probably looked at it differently, and I just show them the other side, right? And just showing them the other side, I always open it up to whatever they situation they going through. They can find hope, right? They can look at things a different way because most of the time the guys are one way thinkers, man, right? They just stuck in their old work and they stuck in their old ways, their concrete thinking, their closed thinking, man. They just that's all they know. And like you said, those approach the reason why I approach them like that, right? I already have a projected voice, but I never approach them in a aggressive manner. Why? because that's what they used to. They know how to react towards that,
Mm-hmm.
right? They know how to react towards somebody else being hostile to them, sir. So when you show them something different, that's what they don't know how to react to. And that's where the silent come in. That's when they like, what are you doing? I just cussed him out. I just called him a name. He's still showing compassion towards me. What's wrong with him? I mean, that's what I do. I mean, love works, man. It never
Mm.
fails. So that's how I get to the guys to have them to open up to find hope. Because I'm telling you, brother, they got stories. And I'm pretty sure you didn't heard a lot of them yourself. They got some stories, man, that is very difficult to pull and look for some hope. They done been through some things. But one thing I always tell them, man, I say, hey, I'm looking at you today. Just the small things. Look like you got eyes. You can see me. Let me see you clean. You know, it's just the small things they don't really. I said, did you, matter of fact, I think you walk in here with both of your limbs. You didn't roll in here with a wheelchair. You know, that's where I pull from. I pull from any and everywhere I can. What I see is where I pull from. Right?
And so
Go ahead.
it really makes sense now, kind of, because you've always been real good in the moment, on the fly with interaction. Now knowing your background in rapping and using your voice and projecting, because we don't have microphones, but
Right.
to the ability to almost command a room, coming from a background in music also, that's those skills definitely help, like when you're facilitating group. And it's like you have to be creative, and it's also about interaction. Music is a huge part about interaction. This
That's
happened,
right.
so I'm gonna do this, and I did this, and that became a result of this, and we're gonna make all this connect. I get the same kind of feeling as when I'm playing music and writing as I do, interacting with people. So it's
Right.
really neat how you had a gift, and it was kind of going this way, and then God kind of set you down and said, "Nope, you're gonna go this way." Same gift.
Right. That's in the same lines as you said. I heard you say something about music, right? But that's in the side line of the spiritual walk that I was mentioned, or is vibration. That is vibration that you're connecting with, high vibration, right? So vibration can be in a lot of things, right? And that's where people get the stem from, right?
Mhm.
Some people be on low vibrational things, right? Because they're in a low point of their life and they need someone. That's why you have to have a support group or a mentor or a sponsor or somebody in your life can. What I tell people is just like, I don't. You might be on your laptop and I might be on my cell phone, correct? But without that charger, what's gonna happen?
Both gonna die.
I don't want. You don't want that laptop to die, don't you, sir? Right. So
No,
what you gonna
sir.
do with it? You gonna plug it up. Why? Because you're going to get a charge from it. I'm going to plug my phone up because I'm going to get a charge from it. I don't want this phone to die. It's just like in my recovery, sir, just like in recovery with anybody, you're going to get drained. You're going to get drained and you're going to need something or someone to boost you. You're going to need a charge, right? So that's a lot of times people don't understand. Sometimes you need to find a positive outlet, right, that can boost you to keep you going. This is hey, this recovery is not just like a pretty side, right? It's you gotta struggle through it, right? But on along the way, if you have someone in your corner, if you have a spiritual walk, if you have a group, right, that's where you need to go. And that's who you need to call, and that's what you need to whatever pray to give you that boost to keep going in your recovery. Because that's what's gonna give you the energy and the vibration, right? To keep acting out for as giving out those positive vibes towards others, right? And most of those guys, man, they just be in low spirits. It's hard to do anything when you're in low spirits.
When you're looking at self-examination, self-mastery, with self-examination, sometimes we can start becoming overly critical of ourselves, and then with self-mastery, as we start to learn more and more about ourselves and grow, sometimes that can fall more into the ego. How can that confidence and humility coexist?
Well, your ego, let's start with that. I mean, this is what I say. Your ego is pretty much, well, some people say pride or whatever, but that's attached to something. So that's attached to a emotional, right? So that attached to your feelings, right? And when your feelings in the way, right? You never, well, I would say I stay to myself. When I leave with my feelings and my emotion, I never make the best decision for me. I never make a good rational decision when I allow my ego to stand in my way, because in recovery it's not going to be good for you at all, right? Because you allow what we call false pride, right? It's one of those things you can say, one of false pride, right? It's something that you believing in, but it's not rational, and that can hinder you in your recovery. So it always stem to what I told you in the beginning, is I always got to go back to you. So people don't like to look in the man in the mirror and deal with him. You have to deal with him first. It's not your mama's, not your wife, it's not your cousin's fault, it's not the police fault, it's not the parole, it's not the probation fault. We like to project these things off on other people, but it's you. You have to understand that it is you getting in the way. That's the first thing you have to understand, is you. I had to realize and say, it is you, Gardner. You got in your way, man. And you just use what was around you for you to throw self-pity towards yourself, so you can continue on in that lifestyle you was in, right? We understand the world itself the world itself doesn't care about none of those things. The world itself doesn't care about none of those things. You have to understand you, and you have to define yourself. That's why I said in the beginning, you have to define who you truly are. Other than that, you will be lost. And you will continue to be lost, right? Because I can have a lot of excuses. I could say, well, I didn't grow up with no father. Well, I didn't have no leader. I didn't have a guideline. I didn't have nobody to show me the way, right? I can keep you, but those all excuses. That's not gonna help me in my growth. That's only gonna allow you to stay stagnant. When you use those things, that's gonna allow you to stay stagnant and you're not gonna move, right? So you had to identify your weakness in yourself. And it takes a man to do that. The key word I said, it takes a man to do that, right? These boys claiming to be man, right? They're not gonna do that because they haven't developed. They haven't developed yet. They haven't experienced yet. They haven't accepted a lot of things. They haven't, they are very biased, most some guys are biased of information. People that understand, a man that understand, you can't be biased of information, right? All information can be good information to you, right? It's just how you think and how you see it. So in that, for as what you said, man, I think that had a lot to do with it, for as in your recovery, for as your pride, and
Mhm.
really seeing what's the problem and the issue. What's really, like, let's dig it deep. Like, what's really going on,
Mhm.
right? Besides the drugs and the alcohol, what's really going on, right? Because we already know that that's an escape, right? And most guys just say they trying to escape from reality, right? So what you really running from? And that's what we need to get down to it, man. And most people have this, most men, I say, have this thing about, talking to people, right? A man don't supposed to ask for help from another man or for anyone, right? You should supposed to figure it out, right? Sometimes we are taught these things, but this it's not the truth, right? Matter of fact, that is being a part of a man is asking questions and asking for help. So that's a lot of stigma that for us male in our race and ethnicity. We
Really
believe
is.
we supposed to figure it out. But how you can figure something out, right? And when you don't know,
Mhm.
who's gonna figure it out for you? You need to ask for help. Right. We do it in so many other things that we don't make it relate to our recovery though. Right. We do it in so many other ways. Like if your car break down, who you gonna go to?
Mechanic.
Okay. All right. You gonna go to
I
a
ain't gonna try to fix it myself. I'll
right.
make the problem worse.
Right. Right. If I got a root canal or something going on with my mouth and my tooth, who you think I'm gonna go to?
Dentist.
Go to the dentist. So most men do these things. But when it comes down to like self and empowering self on self weakness as far as their emotions, why don't you go see a counselor? It's the same concept. The same reason you go see a mechanic, because you don't have the knowledge to fix it. Hey, you can put some screws together, act like you're doing something, but it ain't gonna hold up. And that's the same thing. I find most of people that's in recovery, they doing patch up, right? But they don't specialize in it. So it's not. It don't last, right? It don't last forever. Right? It may last you a day or two, then you're back to square one. So again, it's it's what the stigma of men think about asking for help and sitting down talking to someone. That's the biggest misconception with men, and that's the main thing that now what we're dealing with. I don't know if you know what we're dealing with as far as all this depression. Yeah, and that's what keep people in recovery. That's what keeps them in there. That's what keeps them in the same addiction because they never be honest with themselves, right? And allow themselves to open up to someone. I'm not saying to everyone, and I'm not saying to anyone, right? But take the time out to do some research. And that's why I had to do it with myself. Even when we was working over there together, I had to seek counseling, even while counseling.
Absolutely.
I had a lot of tragic things that happened in my life uh, that I wasn't healed from, and it was almost rekindle up my addiction, right? Because life gonna throw some bad throw some bad swings at you, man, some blows at you, right? When I lost, one of my first son, right, and that took me back to a dark place, man. And I was wanted. I had a permission. I don't think they need is a permission statement. I had a permission right there. I'm for to go turn the baller back up now because I had the excuse, right? But I had to understand I knew too much for the spiritual wealth. That I knew that wasn't gonna help me. I knew that wasn't gonna fix me. So I knew that. So I had to go through those. I had to cry, brother. Sometimes we be fighting things that what we naturally was born with. You was naturally born with emotions, meaning that your body sends signals through your body saying that you are emotion. And here is the indicator of that the tears come down. Right? Why? The body is a beautiful thing, man. Why did the Lord want tears to come down? Why? Because others can see that you're in an emotional state and they know how to respond to that. Other than you fighting your tears, right? These guys be fighting their tears up in here in these programs. Right? When you fighting those tears, right? And then other guys don't know how to react, right? They think you at a good place in a good state of mind and they may say the wrong thing, right? And you snap. But that with but it's not the person, it's you. That go back to you again. You're not comfortable with being who you are. That you gotta fight your own emotions, right? That you gotta hide your tears up, right? From falling down what the Lord naturally gave you. And it was a purpose for that. So that's what is always gonna come back to is you becoming a better version of you. And you gotta want that for yourself.
Mr. Gardner, man, thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your experience, your journey, your
Yes.
advice. Really appreciate you and your message. And if other people wanted to maybe reach out to you or hear more from you, where would they do that at?
Well, only right now, I don't be on it a lot. But when I do, only social that I do have is just Facebook. You can just look me up on Facebook, my first and last name, Jermaine Gardner. I think I got a black hat on there. But yeah, that's me, man. Every now and then I get on there and I try to say something uplifting, encouraging, and I just want to uplift people, man. Let them know that it is hope, right? But you're gonna have to work for it.